she will not make a speech, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will be dividing the spotlight on Tuesday night when President Trump will address the State of the Union to a newly divided Congress that is likely to be skeptical of the situation. Your agenda. While Trump will have the microphone, Pelosi and his fellow House Democrats are using the occasion to send their own messages, largely through the guests who invite the House camera for the speech. Pelosi's guests, announced by his office on Tuesday afternoon, include 2 transgender Army officers, on implicit criticism of Trump's decision to implement the ban on transgender members, and survivors of the mass shooting at a school in Florida in February. Republican position against more rigorous arms control. Also participating as a guest of Polosy is Eeuu, the new president of Planned Parenthood, which should appear in the middle of a new uproar over the attempts of Democratic state legislators to expand abortion rights in New York and Virginia. In the case of Democrats in relation to immigration, Pelosi invited Angelica Salas, a former undocumented immigrant who now heads the Coalition for the Human Rights of Los Angeles Immigrants, and Joe Zender, a Washington chef who has been an advocate of the rights of immigrants. Other House Democrats invited a variety of Americans who represented implied criticism of Trump and its policies, including federal officials who were not paid during the recent partial government shutdown, immigrants who are at risk of deportation due to Trump's policies, vulnerable under potential Republican health initiatives, and much more. In addition to the guests, Pelosi must send a message with his mere presence. The Americans to some are looking over Trump's left shoulder, an image that symbolizes the new reality in Washington. The Democrats are prepared to spend the next few months keeping an eye on Trump and his government after taking the majority of the House in last year's elections. Pelosi brings a new electoral mandate and positive figures of new investigations for the direction of Tuesday. A CNN poll published on Monday tallied Pelosi's favor rating by 42%, his highest ranking in the survey since April 2007, after the start of his first 4-year term with the Speaker's hammer. The Trump approval rating of the same survey, which contained a margin of error of 3.8 points, stood at 40%. Weeks after Pelosi won the hammer for the first time in 2007, President George W. Bush paid tribute to her as the first woman to take office at the start of her speech, calling it high privilege and different honor. To start the message of the State of the Union with these words, "Madam President." There is no indication if Trump plans a tribute of his own, but the two leaders are already in a contentious relationship because of the current dispute over financing for the southern border wall that Trump promised Mexico would pay during its 2016 campaign. The dispute took place and developed during the recent government shutdown, during which Trump tried, and failed, to transform the Democrats against Pelosi's non-negotiation strategy. A central piece of the conflict was the State of the Union's own speech. The two leaders discussed whether the speech would occur while the closure was in force. Trump will make his speech as congressional negotiators intend to close a spending agreement with security at the borders that would prevent another stoppage on February 15, when the short-term measure that the government reopened last month will expire. The White House advisors who announced the address said Trump, in addition to creating a new case for its border wall, will probably outline areas of bipartisan cooperation in infrastructure investments and price reductions for controlled drugs. Those are areas where Pelosi herself recognized the potential for cooperation, and problems that Trump created during the brief call she made last week to extend her invitation to the State of the Union. The conversation about potential engagement, however, has been superficial, ignoring considerable political differences between Democrats and Republicans historically address these specific issues. And while Trump and Pelosi can share trivia about working together on these issues, the chamber's calendar is sending a different message. On Thursday, the Chamber's Committee on Veritas will convene a hearing on the disclosure of presidential tax returns, a clear attack on Trump's decision not to disclose his returns. On Friday, the House Judiciary Committee will question Matthew G. Whitaker, Trump's acting attorney general, the first of several high-ranking Trump officials who were called to attend in the coming weeks. Pelosi's guests Tuesday include Jennifer Peace, Army Major Ian Brown, who represents the pro-transgender activist groups Outserved Service Members Legal Defense Network and SPARTA, or Service Members, Partners, Allies for Respect and Tolerance for All. The gun control advocates involved in Pelosi's invitation are Fred Guttenberg, whose daughter Jaime Guttenberg was killed last year in the shooting at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Charlie Mirsky, a Parkland student who organized the March for Our Lives campaign. And Maddie Scott, an activist with the Brady campaign in Pelosi's hometown of San Francisco. Several political allies of the speaker will also be present, including the chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Tom Perez, the leaders of 5 large unions, and Kristen Rofink-Biner, executive and co-founder of Moms Rising, an activist network targeting women's issues. Also participating are 2 senior New Jersey Democratic officials, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver and State Senate Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg, who spearheaded a letter signed by female leaders in that state endorsing Pelosi's election as spokesperson. Their support helped convince several newly elected members of the House of New Jersey to support Pelosi at a time after the election, when his return to the presidency was not assured.